Welcome. This is your fitness nutrition coaching class. This course is going to help us be coaches, as I call it, change agents for habit change in your active and athletic clients. This course is a little bit different than sports nutrition certifications. My name is Johan Francis, CSCS. And I'm going to take you through teaching people, coaching them how to change, specifically with regard to their eating habits. Diets, eating plans, whatever you want to call them, oftentimes are geared towards taking process away from us because they're canned and they follow a protocol. The dangers in that is that it takes away process and thinking. In order to empower your active and athletic clients to regain their thinking, we coach them. We coach them to change because that's why they're coming to see you. What's been working for them needs a pivot. And as fitness nutrition coaches, we help them pivot in the right direction. Athletic clients work out most of the days per week, at least 3 times per week. Clients who aren't very active might look to maintain their current weight or lose a little bit over time. Active and athletic clients who are working out 5 days per week or getting ready for a competition in 3 months, for example, they're going to work out constantly. And so they need more detailed advice. And the advice doesn't involve giving them diets all the time or any of the time, as we'll get into in a minute. Instead, we treat these people specially because they are nutritionists. All of them. Your active and athletic clientele are nutritionists. How is it then that your active clients and athletes, even if they work out all the time, are not certified? How is it that they are nutritionists? The truth is they are. And the truth is because your active and athletic clients have been studying for years. They've been listening to stories of friends maybe that have done a bulking phase in order to put on some muscle mass over time. They've been listening to friends who have lost weight. They've been listening to coaches, not nutrition coaches, but their sport coaches on the best way to cut weight. They've been reading. They've been looking at social media and following other gurus on how to lose weight. Because of that, they've formed their own basis of education, which makes them nutritionists in most of the country. In California, where I am, as described to me by one of my professors in college, you could essentially say that nutritionists are anybody who is self-taught in the field of nutrition, in the nutrition sciences. That means they take active interest in learning, the vitamins, how many there are, the macronutrients, anything related to nutrition science. If they're self-taught by reading books written by, from biochemists to dietitians to doctors to specialists, a vague term as that might be, they're nutritionists. The only thing is, in California, they can't then turn around and say, you need to start eating more yogurt, for example, because without the background and internship that you get as being a dietitian, you don't know what type of allergies or the signs to look out for someone who might be allergic, say, to dairy. And as a result, dietitians are the only ones who are allowed to legally and can get compensated by the state to give nutrition diets to people. In these yellow states, it is pretty much illegal to tell your clients what to eat in hopes that they will change their diet for weight loss, maintenance, or health, or weight gain. The red and deep red states that you see on this particular map show a differentiation between dietitians and nutritionists, in that in those red states you can't be anything but a dietitian and give people advice. It's essentially illegal to do so. There's only an option to be a dietitian. On this larger map, we can see it more clearly. In California and Texas, two of the most populated states, as well as the green states, which include New York. So in the most populated states, save for Florida, right? You don't have to be a dietitian to give people education and sound counseling, which we combine and call coaching. Instead, you're only restricted from giving people diets in those yellow and green states. As I mentioned before, the red ones, you can only become a dietitian. That's something like 30 to 50 million residents of the US. So the overwhelming majority, in 250 million plus people, can be called nutritionists. And you can take a look at this online. In a state like Arizona and Alaska and New York, right? The most populated city in New York City. Anyone can give what we call nutrition counseling. I can tell you what to eat legally and even get compensated for it. These yellow states, I have to be a dietitian to tell you exactly what to eat, but I can call myself a nutritionist if I'm self-taught. And in these, it says orange colored states, there is a way to become, and Florida is one of the more populated states, there's a way to become a certified nutritionist or specialist. And in the red states, you have to be a dietitian. Essentially, you can be called a nutritionist in everywhere but these clusters of red states, which represent something like a fifth of the population of the US. And that is the reason why you see so many nutritionists or hear about so many nutritionists in our eating culture. So this person has a competition coming up, or this Olympian worked with a nutritionist, or this fighter has a nutritionist. A nutritionist helped them lose weight. Yeah, it's because that person doesn't necessarily have to be vetted as such, right? They can be an expert because they've simply been self-taught. It's not like they don't have any training. You know, they went and they learned their craft, but they are essentially at that point a nutritionist and on par with people who maybe have been studying things for 20 years, maybe someone who's been studying for a year. They're both nutritionists. And you can say the same thing about doctors, but doctors have to intern, they have to be licensed. And so with that extra level of gatekeeping, you vet people at a particular standard with which they can successfully practice at a professional level. Nutrition does not have that in the same way. This course helps us to become nutrition experts. What we're going to do is make sure that you guys are strong enough in your background to combine nutrition education, nutrition counseling, the history of nutrition, science, nutrition science, behavior change theory models that have been in existence for 100 years or more, and anecdotal case study evidence. Just knowing what works, what has been recorded that works with clients who need help changing their lives. We're going to combine all those things to become coaches. Taking it a step further, you guys, food change agents. You guys will be change agents in charge of the process of change. A change agent is someone that is relied on to spearhead change, right? When I come to a point in the road and the road forks, I need a sign to tell me which way to go. It could be a physical sign, it can be a spiritual sign, but I need a sign to tell me which direction to go because I've come to a point, a pivot point. And so you look up at the sign, you see which highway is going north, which one's going south, and you choose the right way. In the vein of change and changing direction, you guys will be that sign. You guys will be the agent for change with regard to food and nutrition habits. And by being a coach, we combine, like I said before, the education of nutrition, the counseling of nutrition, and these factors of change that mean so much when we start to shift our metabolism, when we come up against obstacles in our environmental life. And we'll touch on more of that later. You guys will be empowered to empower others through your abilities to use a combination of science and rich, time-tested advice to do so. And as most fitness professionals and trainers already know, and strength coaches, change is what prompts people to do more and perform more workouts, harder workouts, to get better, stronger at their sport, at their activities, wherein they decide, hey, I need to lose a little bit of body fat, or I need to lose a ton, or I need to maintain my same levels but perform better. The object always will be to keep lean body mass, perform better, and lose body fat. And so we do this by being change agents. When they start to notice that change, that's when we step in and we help them out. There are qualities associated with being a change agent. It has to be natural. You have to want to help people. You will have to want to be a service, because this job is, as a coach, it's incumbent upon you to be a rock, right? You want to be a stalwart. You want to be a pillar. And if you are that pillar and you dedicate yourself to service, you don't need, your clients aren't always going to thank you at the time that, they're going to thank you when they start feeling the change happening, despite how much work you put in. You have to kind of be naturally attuned to giving. We're going to use a lot of methods and change theories that have been proven to work over maybe a century. You pretty much should be up to date on diets. That's not a word I'll be using too often. Diets, right? Diets have a connotation to them. And as such, I probably won't use the word too much. But we have to be abreast of, if one of your clients gives you a book to read on a diet, you have to be ready to take a look at it. Because maybe this particular diet has most of the nutrition aspects correct. And the things that need to be changed are kind of on the fringes, right? Maybe it's a diet that says, watch your ratios, but then it messes up the ratios. You want to step in and say, these ratios probably are going to lead to this based on my experience, and guide them in the right direction. It has to be long-term, guys. It has to be long-term. Diets are short-term or medium-term. Long term. We're thinking long term. In the foreseeable future, I want to see that one of my trainees who comes in and is super athletic or was super athletic, she comes in and says, I want to lose 40 pounds. Well, we're not going to get her to lose 40 pounds tomorrow. Diets do that. I've seen it. Because those same diets, they kind of let you off the hook after that initial weight loss. No, instead I want to envision this same client who wants to lose 40 pounds. I want to envision what she's going to look like, how she's going to perform 40 pounds later. I'm going to have a plan, and I'm going to draw out a roadmap and action plans to get there. And along the way, see success. We have to already be oriented towards long term. And if you're not oriented to long term, orient yourself. If you're not oriented to long term and you're oriented to short or medium term, chances are you're looking at a diet or you're functioning on a dietary plane. You want to jump off of that. Base calories are going to be your resting expenditure of energy, your resting energy of expenditure, or your basal metabolic rate. We're going to combine those aspects and call them base calories. These are estimations, even if they're completed through equations. These are estimations of how many calories I feel you need to maintain your current weight. Base. From there, we adjust them based on physical activity. So in any activity that your clients take on, they want to become better. And to get better at any activity, if it's road cycling, you want to get better at your splits. So if you're doing a specific course, you know when you have to kick in order to minimize your splits and get a better time at the end in that particular example. If you want to throw a better jab, you have to throw hundreds of them a day. In order to get better at your activity, you have to drill. So, that means you pick up skills. Those skills that you pick up, well, we got to do the same thing as coaches. We're coaching athletic and active people. We too need skills to help them get better, to help them drill. Every nutrition coach, every fitness nutrition coach, and sports nutrition coach must know the vitamins, must know all the minerals, micronutrients. Those are micronutrients. You must know complex and simple macronutrients by name. You have to. You have to familiarize yourself with diet management methods and food management methods, ways of keeping track of what you eat and how you put them on your plate. You have to be abreast of those. You need to be able to read any nutrition label anywhere at any given time if it's in the language of your origin and English, and break it down. And I suggest learning to do so pretty quickly. We'll go over that in a future module. You definitely have to be able to calculate ratios and adjust those ratios. Is it 10% protein, 80% carbohydrates, 1% alcohol, and 9% fat? That is largely, you probably won't use a ratio like that, but is it, you have to be abreast of your macronutrient ratios. You have to be able to compile a big list of foods that you can substitute in for people, right? Someone says, I want, I can't start my day without eating 4 eggs. We go in and we ask why they want 4 eggs. Okay, it's a lot of protein. I know that, they're looking to get 12 grams of protein before they shoot off to work in the morning. Here are a list of other foods or food types that I can give you. And just knowing what foods I can plug in, you guys got to be great at that. And habit change. Habit change is very important. Motivational interviewing, you need to be great at helping someone get past their blocks and the ABCs of change. ABCs of change are being aware of the things that make you eat a certain way. Those are the big 5 skills plus 1. It's up to you if you want to keep up to date on fad diets. There are a lot of them, and it only helps you as better coaches to do so. But because there are so many, you have the choice whether you want to keep up on every one. You'll find that a lot of them match. Here's the course. We'll start with a brief history. We'll go to weight loss and adding mass. And we'll go to changes. Each of these is broken up into about 8 modules. Visual assessments are very important. Then we get into day 1, day 2, and day 3 after we prepare to meet and we know our minerals and compounds and measurements. That 3-day plan is what's going to help your clients, your active and athletic folks, change. And in my experience, they always change. And it's always for the better when we kind of stick to the plan that we're going to make for you guys in one of the final modules. The day 1, 2, and 3 is a time where we sit with our clients. We talk to them about change. We detail and go over what they've been eating. And we, again, become those change agents that we need to see so much. Finally, we'll talk about issues that never go away and relapse management.